By that time, so this is my second time coming. And my colleagues have been taking you through a lot of processes and procedures. I'm sure of that. The last session just talked about the e-TCC cards. For those of us that are new to the system, you now know what the e-TCC card is. I'm sure you now know how you can obtain one if you don't have one. You now know how you can replace one if you have lost yours, and so on and so forth. So on this segment of the workshop, we are going to be going through the latest developments on the platform. In other words, we can ask our question, what is happening now? What is happening on the Ebsrcm platform now? What is happening in Lagos State government's system of revenue collections, system of revenue monitoring, system of revenue tracking? What is happening now? That is the aspect we want to talk about now. But let me do a little bit of a recast of what you already know. We live in the technology age. Am I right? Yes. Am I right? At least all of us here have phones. Am I right? All of us here have ATM cards. Am I right? All of us make use of ATM from time to time. Am I right? It's true. That's where we are. Some of us have laptops. Some of us have computers. And some of us have the bigger ones, the tabs and high-profile phones, all of that. We all make use of it. Then, the government of Nigeria, through the central bank, now said that they now want to introduce what they call a cashless policy, a cashless economy. What do they mean by a cashless economy? What they simply meant was that there was now going to be a limitation to the amount of cash you could deposit at the bank, and also a limitation to the amount of cash you can withdraw from the bank at any given time. Do you understand it that way? Do you understand it that way? This is a federal government policy. It's been there. Let me recount that again. This Central Bank of Nigeria, acting on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria, came up with a policy that limited the amount of cash an individual or an organization can withdraw from the bank in a day, and also put a limit on the amount of cash a company or an individual can deposit in a bank in a day. I'm surprised that it sounded so strange to us. If you go to the bank now, okay, fine, I want response. I am more or less a teacher. If a teacher gets a response, you do something. Do you agree with me? Yes. So if you go to the bank now and say, look, I want to withdraw this kind of money, they will tell you, yes, you can withdraw, but you are going to pay a kind of surcharge on any amount above the limit. That kind of thing. Now, how would that have affected the Lagos State government collections? If you now say that, look, there is, let's put a ceiling. Of course, it was maybe 3.5 million for companies and maybe 1.5 million for individuals. Okay, fine, it's okay, fine. Let's just put our own limit there. It's okay, fine. For every account, you cannot deposit more than 1.5 million naira in a day for companies. And for individuals, you can't deposit more than 200,000 naira in a day. How would that have affected Lagos State government's revenue? Would it have gone up? Would it have drastically gone low? I want to get the response. It will reduce. It will reduce. How? How? Because if, let's say for example, a company wants to pay his tax, and the tax is equivalent to 1 billion naira, and the company has decided to pay cash, Lagos State government, and you now get to the bank and say, no, the law said that you cannot pay 1 billion naira cash. What will the bank do? What will the company do? He either goes back with the money, or he pays that limit that the law allows, and then he can say, I'll come back tomorrow. Maybe he will split it into 10 times. And that means that the accountant will go to the bank for the next 10 days to make the deposits in front of that. That is not how business is done. That's just, I am just bringing that up. That was the implication of what would have happened. And the other side of it was that the amount, I'm not criticizing the policy, am I? The amount that was stipulated for companies was very low. I think it was about 3.1 million. So it was very low. So that meant that Lagos State government accounts would have, or revenue drive would have been drastically affected. So, what did we do? We had to respond to that anyway. But let me also announce or update our memories that government accounts have been exempt from this policy. What it means now is that you can deposit as much money as you want into Lagos State government account, in any Lagos State government account, whether cash or anything. You can deposit as much as you want, and then the Lagos State government can also withdraw as much as it wants from any of these accounts, because this cashless policy does not affect government accounts. Exactly. That's very, very important, because we had some people did not understand it that way yesterday. So let us understand it very well now, that government accounts are exempt from the cashless policy of
excuse me, sir.
No.
I beg you. Yes, because I don't know, but in my ministry, you can't in cashless you can't collect more than 3 million.
3 million?
Yes.
Okay, that's on the side of collection.
Yes. Yes.
You know, the kind of deposits you can pay
You can transfer.
Yes. You can transfer. Yes. I agree with you. I agree with you. Even before the cashless policy came, there was a government policy that says if it is above this point, it will go through money transfer. Perfect. There was a policy like that, and that is the policy you are adhering to. That's very, very excellent. But the way it affected us was on the case of deposits. Deposits, because we're interested in deposits. So, so as it is now, you can deposit as much as you want. I am emphasizing it because that is why it affects us. So you can deposit, you can tell your brothers, your sisters, the companies that they can go ahead and deposit as much money as they want in Lagos State government account.
We can't pay, maybe we cannot withdraw.
No, with the withdrawal, we can talk about that one. Let's talk about deposits now. So that's the update of that project. But then, we as a consulting firm and also a technology-oriented firm have to devise means of responding to that government policy. Whether it has been, whether the government accounts have been exempt from it or not, we have to respond to it. So what did we do? We leveraged on the technology we have at hand. We leveraged on the technology we have at hand to ensure that people could make as much deposits as they want in Lagos State government account.